All right, welcome to the October Small Business Workshop produced by DRA. Social is changing. Updates need to make to stay relevant on Instagram and TikTok. Our Small Business Workshop series is made possible by our gold sponsor, Pointer Spruill. We are recording this presentation. We'll be sending that out and uploading it to our website probably next week. And then the PowerPoint will be available to attendees as well, and we'll send that via email. Throughout the presentation today, please use the Q&A feature as a part of the Zoom webinar. That feature allows you to submit questions, and Anna will be able to see those and answer those throughout the presentation. She's also going to leave time at the end where she can take questions and answer more specific inquiries. You can also use the chat feature. Those will come directly to me, and then I can ask Anna. So without further ado, we'll jump right in, and I'm going to introduce Anna Sullivan. Anna is the founder and CEO of the Creative Exchange, a social media marketing agency specializing in social media for CPG brands through content, strategy, paid, and influencers. While her business now calls New York home, business was started in Raleigh and focused on small businesses and restaurants. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to Anna.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, super excited to chat with everyone today about all the things happening on social media. As most of you know, it never stops changing and there's always something new to learn. So we're going to talk about Instagram and TikTok today. And when you have the questions, I'm not sure if they'll pop up for me here, but we can definitely go through them at the end. And I know some people sent in questions prior and we will go through all that at the end. So feel free to chat it up. But I will just get started with Instagram and TikTok. So as Will mentioned, we are a social media agency and creative studio. So we do all of our creative content in-house, from photo shoots, videos, TikToks, all that good stuff, as well as handle social media for brands. So as I mentioned, Instagram and TikTok are two of the easiest channels to grow organically on. You know, I know there might be some hesitation on TikTok being so new, and is that relevant to my business, especially maybe being a very local business? But I would say that they're two of the easiest channels, again, to grow organically on versus having to pay for impressions. And they really are well suited for B2B and B2C brands. So we're going to talk about some of those changes and just like best practices and things you can be implementing yourself on these channels, and then can again answer any questions that you have. So we are going to get started with Instagram. I won't go too in depth of what Instagram is, but obviously, as you know, is a social media app where it's mainly focused on images. But as you might have heard, a lot of shift has been to video. They've been pushing this for years at this point, and now with some new features on the app that we'll talk about, it's really going straight to fully focusing on video, somewhat being combating what TikTok's doing. So I will go through all of these and again can answer any questions that you have, but these are just things that when you're creating content on your Instagram account for your business, things to be thinking about. So the first thing I'll kind of preface is any new features that Instagram comes out with, anything that they offer you to utilize, you need to do that because they like users that are utilizing everything that they're putting out, using new tools as soon as they come out, all that good stuff. So the first one is always use location tags and post tags when possible. I think this one can easily be forgotten about, but anytime that you can use that location tag on a post, whether that is in feed or on stories or wherever, making sure that you're always thinking about like, oh, this is another place where people can find me. They might be looking at your restaurant location or Raleigh as a whole, and they're going and seeing content there. So always think about how you can utilize that, as well as tagging other brands or accounts in your posts. So not just doing that in the caption, but if there's an opportunity to tag another brand or a vendor or another location or an influencer or somebody you used their post for, be sure to tag them in the post, not only in the caption. And then I think we all know and maybe love or hate hashtags. So there's been a few updates to the algorithm recently, probably in the last couple of weeks, with what Instagram has come out as this is the best way to utilize hashtags. So it previously was, we can use up to 30 hashtags before it cuts you off. And people were utilizing that. Some people don't use hashtags at all, but Instagram just came out recently with the update that you should be using 3 to 5 hashtags per post. And they say that's for every post. Now, one thing I'll preface is every account is very different. I can't tell you that if you do this, you'll see more success than you were in the past. So it is something to test and try out, like do some posts with no hashtags, some posts with 3 hashtags, mixing them up, that type of thing. So anything we talk about is always something to test and learn from your analytics and understand what your audience likes. But again, they have said that 3 to 5 hashtags work best on each post, and posting that within the caption. So I know at one point it was, post it in the first comment, but now they're saying definitely post that in the caption. And when it comes to those 3 to 5 hashtags, I think that's something to test as well, of like, what are these hashtags? Kind of the strategy that's been played out is something that's relevant to the actual post. So very specific to the picture, maybe something relevant to your location, and then more of those generic hashtags. So when you are on Instagram and looking at different hashtag pages, it usually tells you how many posts have been made to that, which are in the millions and billions at this point, since Instagram has been around for a long time, almost 10 years, I believe, or maybe it just hit 10 years, which is insane. So that's something to kind of test and try out. And I will say that Instagram doesn't like when you copy and paste and use the same hashtags on every single post. They like to know that you put some thought into it and that you're customizing what you're posting. So that's just something to think about as well. And the next thing is posting cadence. So everybody used to say, you need to be posting 1 to 2 times per day in feed. This is before Instagram stories came out, before Reels, and now there is a video tab, which we'll talk about that in a second. But basically, I think we all kind of know this, but everything has shifted to being much more focused on quality over quantity. So these are a few numbers to just kind of think about, but within your feed, posting 12 to 20 times per month is ideal. I think 12, that's usually about 3 posts per week. It definitely keeps you engaging and coming up in people's feeds and not being too overbearing. But what you should really be focusing on is stories and reels, which you'd want to do a lot more of. Stories, you want to be doing these as much as possible, but making sure that they're engaging. So we definitely, especially within the small business world, we always had our mind wrapped around like behind the scenes and things happening like live in real time with the team and at the restaurant or in the store, that type of thing, because that's very different than what you're seeing with CPG brands these days. So making sure that you're providing some type of context to what's happening, making sure you're being engaging, utilizing those polls and question tabs and trivia and that type of thing. So as long as people are engaging with you and they like your content, definitely do that as much as possible. And then reels. So ideally we're posting 3 times a week here. This is the area, and as well as video, again, I'll talk about in a minute, is really where Instagram is wanting you to grow. So reels are very comparable to your TikTok content, and easily can repost and reuse TikTok content on Reels is completely fine. I can talk more about that when we talk about TikTok. But essentially you need to be posting here as well. So in the grand scheme of things, you're probably still posting maybe something once a day within these different sections of Instagram. So as I was mentioning, Instagram has now a new video feature. So IGTV is fully gone. I do think that all the accounts have transitioned at this point to having a video tab. If you don't, it's coming when you maybe update your app or something. But if you're on your profile, you'll now see a new tab. So it was in feed tab and then a Reels tab, and now there's like the little triangle video. IGTV is gone and now there's a video tab. So every video that you've posted in feed is now showing up here. And when you click on it, it'll expand to be 9:16 to fill up the whole screen. So basically what Instagram is telling us is that they want you to be posting more videos, as we've mentioned. IGTV the term and everything is technically gone, but you can still post long form videos in the 9:16 size. So you can still create that content. It just has a new place that it's living in, a new name. And all your other videos will live on this tab as well. So if somebody only wants to look at your videos, they now can basically filter to only do that, which I think is really interesting. And as I mentioned, if you posted a video in feed previously, it could be 4x5, 1x1, whatever. But now they want you to click on it and all of them expand to the 9:16. So I think that's going to be a best practice moving forward with any and all videos that you capture should be in that 9:16 size. And I think again, the more you can do and post of this, the more attention that Instagram is going to give you. So that's definitely a good place to start playing around in. And then the next thing to talk about is a shopping catalog. So if you're just in tune with social, the two words that you hear are video and shopping. So we've kind of already talked about video, but moving into shopping, we know that Instagram has had the shopping catalog, especially easy, hooked up to Shopify to tag all of your products on your post. So one thing that's happening is video shopping is coming. I'm not exactly sure what that's going to look like. There's a lot of different apps out there testing it. I know Instagram's going to come out with something like this, but basically they want to make live experiences of shopping through video, whether that is doing it through live or other apps and things where people can have a virtual experience through your store and click on something they see and immediately purchase it within the app. So that's not something to be scared about, but it's something to think about now because it will be coming and will be what's taking over really all social media channels. TikTok's going to do something very similar, and not sure what Facebook's doing right now, especially as I mentioned, they want to rebrand. So we'll just put a pause on them for now, but just be prepared. So again, really focusing on what you can do on the video side. And when it comes to your video content creation, especially with Reels and TikTok, we kind of have this term called edutainment. You want to be entertaining while educating somebody on what you're talking about. The content, especially that we see work well on Reels and TikTok, isn't just talking about a product and selling it. So that's something to consider because, again, people need to feel a connection to your brand. They can tell themselves whether or not they want to purchase or come experience that for themselves. But we need to be edutaining them essentially. But with video shopping coming, something to think about is how can I incorporate the products and make it easy to understand and comprehend or click on it to see it for that feature to come. So it's just something to wrap your mind around about. I think that I don't want to assume, but I assume that most everyone watching this today has social media done in-house. I'm assuming you might work with a freelancer or have a marketing person in-house, probably not working with an agency, but if you are, something to think about with your retainers or that type of thing is how can we incorporate more video and really focus on that, because as we see with most small businesses and even the brands that we work with now, we're always a little bit behind. You know, we're not the targets that have a lot of money and ready to hop on the trend right as it comes out. But I do want everybody to start preparing and really making sure you are investing in video and knowing that a new feature with shopping is coming. The next thing to talk about is content strategy. So this one is also somewhat newer, and I think it really comes down to Instagram having so many places for your content to live, is being hyper specific to the post type. So if you think about, we have in feed, we have stories, we have reels, we now have this video tab, we can do lives. That's a lot of places for content to live. And how we always thought about social was you have Facebook for this audience and this type of content. You have Instagram for this audience and this type of content. You have TikTok for this type of content and this audience. But Instagram has a wide variety of places that your content lives, because we all know that Instagram has copied, they came out with stories to compete with Snapchat. They came out with Reels to compete with TikTok. And now they're trying to do their own thing with the new video feature. So I think this is why Instagram has so many different places that they're focusing on, because they're really just trying to combat that, like, this is the channel to be in. No other social apps need to exist. But we do know that other channels do exist and they're thriving. So Instagram will always kind of be in that competition mode. But I think what's changed is with all of these features coming out, especially what feels like very quickly, because I remember in feed was all we had for a long time, and then stories came out and that was like a huge deal. And now we have reels and video and whatever. So it can be very overwhelming. But what I think is something really cool to think about is if you treated Instagram like 4 different channels. So in feed, stories, reels, and videos. And thinking about what's the content I can produce that best lives in those 4 lanes. So when we previously made social media strategies, we would kind of say, okay, as this brand, what are my content pillars? I want to be creating lifestyle content. I want to be creating content that's relevant to a holiday. I want to be creating educational content about my brand. That's a very basic mindset that we had. But if you're taking that a step further, how we are developing social media strategies at this point, especially for Instagram, is having one like pillar to each one of these places that the content can live. So if you think about in feed, and now we're focused a lot again on videos, but and photos still, people are looking at that as a whole. They're looking at it in your grid. They're looking at it through the feed. So maybe there's one type of content that you can create that can really live well there because it's more about the visual and less about the caption. And then something else to think about is for reels, maybe the best content you have there is educating people, because the best way to put that information out there is having someone directly speak about it. It's not about the caption, but it's about connecting with the human behind the brand and talking about, you know, how cool this product is, or how cool the experience is at this restaurant, or how we do what we do at our store. So that could be the best content to live there. And then maybe stories, you only focus on doing polls every day or something like that. So I think, again, we really used to focus on having a very diverse feed previously, but now it's really living of be super specific in the lane that you're kind of in with each one of these places. We'll talk about TikTok in a minute, but if you are someone that uses TikTok and likes TikTok, you know, the people that are thriving on TikTok are the ones that are posting the same type of content every single day. And they're kind of doing these in these series, and that's what they're killing it at. It's not the brands that are posting to every trend and trying to do 5 different topics. It's the ones that you know what to expect, the content, and you follow them because you want to keep up with that. One thing that we used to see was you could follow an account that they posted a burger every single day, and people liked that burger every day. It gave them that feeling of like, you know, mouth watering type of thing. So just kind of think of it in that way of like, if this is a really good type of content, people want to continue to see it. Maybe you tweak it a little bit, but it's really figuring out what is the best content to live here that's gonna make my audience connect to what I want them to connect with my business, and focusing that on each individual placement. And as I mentioned, series and campaigns should be a focus. So whether that is coming up with an idea of, let's do a video campaign with 10 videos and we talk about this specific topic. So think kind of in that mindset of, you know, hey, when I'm posting on Instagram in feed, it's hard for me in a caption to get really in detail about this topic. You don't have to do that. You know that people's attention spans are very short. You need to have your hook and really bring them in within the first 3 seconds of a video or when they're scrolling. So it's really easy to break that into more bite-sized content. If you think about, you publish a blog post can easily be 5 different videos. You're breaking down the information in more consumable way. So just kind of think about it in that way. And then the last 2 things I have here for Instagram are brand partnerships and influencers are the way to grow. So as I mentioned earlier, Instagram and TikTok are the top 2 channels that it's the easiest to grow organically on. So with brand partnerships, thinking about how can you partner with other brands or other like-minded businesses or other local businesses to tell a story. So the probably the easiest place for your mind to go is doing that through giveaways. That can be a great way to grow followers, a great way to get more brand awareness, that type of thing. Now, we don't want you to post a giveaway every single week. Your account will become kind of not spammy, but just like people are there and following you to get something free or that'll benefit them in a way that's more tangible than intangible. But think about, the other businesses in your community. What do you have in common? Like, can you do giveaways? Can you do some type of experience together? Like, can you do a live together talking about, topics that are just relevant to your businesses or to your customers? So thinking about how you can really benefit the followers that other businesses in your area have and yourself, and really grow that way. And same thing with influencers. If you are selling online, or if you are more local, we want to be capturing that local audience, as well as, people that might be coming to Raleigh for tourism. So any way you can work with influencers, whether that's having them come in and create content for you. Maybe there's an influencer that's very specific in the topic that your business presents. So always something to really think about and try to collaborate with people on. Again, whether that's a brand or an influencer, is a great way to grow your brand and, again, get more brand awareness. And when we think about influencers, you don't have to think about the Kim Kardashians and the people that have billions of followers. An influencer can be somebody that has 2,000 followers and are based in Raleigh, and all of their followers are also based in Raleigh. So I think it's really about, developing the right relationships with the right people, and even asking them, hey, can I get a media kit to understand your audience or the people that engage with you and where they're located, that type of thing. So I don't think you should shy away from that, especially in the restaurant industry. There will be plenty of people that are willing to come in with their friends, have a free meal, and create content for you. We've done that with several restaurants in the past, and it's worked great to not only get content, but to be seen on their Instagram accounts. So just something to think about. And then the last thing is growth and engagement testing. So I kind of mentioned this earlier when we were talking about hashtags, but it's great to have all these best practices and things to think about. But if you're not testing and learning and tracking your analytics, then it's, you really need to be doing that, because you need to learn from what you're doing and posting. Even let's say all your posts get 50 likes, there still could be some with 50, 60, 52, like, even though those are small numbers, it's something to look at over time to see like where the trends are happening, or if you're posting on a certain day and that performs better than the other, or that type of thing. So there's always plenty of things to do here. And when I mentioned growth and engagement testing, there's a lot of different ways that you can be engaging with your audience as well. So this is something you can easily kind of Google online. But if you search Instagram engagement tests, you'll see things like the 180 method come up, which is like Gary Vee kind of coined that, of engaging with the first, I think, 10 people's posts on your 10 top hashtags that you use, or something like that. So there's plenty of different ways for you to engage and go out there and find people to engage with, and hopefully bring them back to your channel. Another term we kind of use for that is social listening. So when you're doing community management and spending time on Instagram, your community manager is most likely responding to all the comments, responding to all the DMs, that type of thing. But we want to not only engage with the people that saw our content, we need to be going out and finding the right people to engage with. So that could look like looking at other local businesses in the area that maybe your audiences overlap. We know that everyone that shops here probably also shops at Whole Foods or something like that. And I think the Raleigh, the Whole Foods has their own Instagram account. So kind of looking to see who they're following and engaging with them. Again, you're just trying to get more people aware of your brand, and really you want them to fall in love with your brand. I'm not going to get into all this today, but I think, the brands that are really succeeding are the ones that aren't afraid to speak out about what they care about. If you're creating content that feels lukewarm, then no one's going to fall in love with you. We're really here on social media to have people be advocates for us. We want them to fall in love with our brand or the people behind our company, that type of thing. And if you are one to just kind of like shy away from that, that's fine, but people are just gonna be like, oh yeah, that's cool, I'll go there when I want. But if you create content and engage with your audience in a way that's like, I love these people, I love the people behind it, I love everything they do, then that's the people that are going to tell other people about your company and get more people into your store. That kind of speaks back to the influencer route as well, because we just need people to see us. And once they see us, we need to sell them on our brand. We don't need to explicitly say, hey, come in, or hey, buy this, or try this. We need them to see our content and just know that like, oh, like, I know I have to get that, or I know I have to buy that or eat this. Cool. So I think that covers us for Instagram. And again, I think I'll have to do all the questions at the end. So now diving into TikTok. I am not sure how many of you are actually on TikTok, but there is a lot that's already changed on TikTok in terms of what we've seen from the beginning, which was a couple of years ago to now. So as I mentioned, every brand has room to be on TikTok. Now, the difference between TikTok and Instagram is on Instagram, you're looking for engagement. You're looking for followers. You want people to consistently be engaging with you. On TikTok, if you use it, you know that you really live in your For You page. You follow people, maybe you look at your following and their videos, but you really know that the For You page, the algorithm works so well. You're going to see the content you want. You'll even see people that you do follow because TikTok did a great job at their algorithm. And that's where you live. So TikTok, what you're focused on is not followers, is not likes and comments. It's all about getting video views. So essentially when you're creating content here, you want your videos to go viral. Viral to you could be 5,000 views. Viral to other people could be 100,000 views. It really is depending on kind of where you're starting and what you seek success. And obviously, if you're starting from zero, then you'll kind of build up success. But I think that with TikTok, it doesn't matter if it's content about your brand or company on your page versus an influencer or whoever. As long as you're getting that visibility there, TikTok is, again, one of the easiest places to go viral and get views at this point, even compared to Instagram. And people have seen a lot of success from doing ads here on TikTok. So before I kind of go into this, the first thing that I want to mention is there's two different accounts on TikTok. One's a business account and one is a creator's account. Now, you might in your mind say, oh, I'm a business, let me go the business account. For small businesses, I think this is completely fine. If you're a large company, don't do this. But if you're a small company, start with a creator account, because once you change to business, TikTok knows and they want you to start paying for ads. And also, if you're a business account, you cannot use non-commercially licensed music. So most of the things that are trending, any normal songs, things like that, you will not be able to use. They take that away from you. And then if you even try to post something with your own music that is like from Drake or whoever, they will flag you and you won't get any views on that. So just something to consider. I think, like, especially as a small business, it's great to start with a creator account, go the organic route, and just kind of see what happens with it. So creating and testing content is a must. As I mentioned earlier, you know, when TikTok came out, when brands are still trying to figure this out. Everybody's trying to hop on the latest trend or that type of thing. We do see that works, especially if it's really relevant to your brand. You hopped on it like as soon as a trend came out and your content is really good, then you're going to do great. You definitely have a great chance of going viral. But if you're not very quick to it and it seems like you're trying a little too hard, then it's not going to work nearly as well as it is for other, you know, people that are doing it maybe a little bit faster or it's more relevant. So this is where I mentioned earlier is it's really great to focus on campaigns and series. So same thing with Instagram, focusing on TikTok to have a very specific type of content for you is going to be key. So there are a few brands out there that are doing that. And, you know, I wouldn't say any of their videos are going viral, but they're getting substantial views on every single video. It's very consistent because I think we all know that. I mean, it really depends on how viral something goes, but I would rather get 5,000 views on every video than 10 views on every video, but one of my videos got 20,000 views or something like that. It's just more about sustaining that and really keeping the audience that wants and cares about you engaged. So again, something to think about of really finding your niche. There is this girl that recently went viral and now all of her videos get, like, I think she has millions of followers at this point. I think her name's Emily. And if you scroll back through her content, she does like cooking videos. So if you scroll back and look at her content, you can see that she tried different methods of like showing how she was cooking a meal. Well, now she's really figured out the certain way that she's filming everything. People love it. And now she's gone viral, has millions of views. And you can kind of see her evolution of like trying and testing things. Other influencers on TikTok have said the same thing about they've tried different things. They would delete things that didn't work, keep the ones up that did work. And they would really find that like once they figure out that right video angle or like what they're talking about and what their, I guess, key differentiator is, then they're doing really great. So I think one thing that can be scary, especially to a small business, is putting the time and money into creating this content, especially not sure if it's going to work. We're all in that boat. We're all in the boat of having to try and test things to see if it's going to work. All of you that started a business, you didn't know if it was going to succeed when you started. You probably put all of your money into it or got investing. You know, you have to have people kind of trust you and really know what you're doing. So I think it's a mix of really being yourself and putting your best content out there, but trusting that, like, if you believe this content's going to work, keep believing in it, keep tweaking it a little bit until you get to where you want to be. Because if you immediately give up, then people are going to give up on you. And, you know, it takes time to kind of get to where you want to go. Another thing, as I mentioned, is focusing on takeovers or one person handling your TikTok. So this might seem obvious with what I mentioned of having a campaign or really posting the same type of content, but you know, when it comes to Instagram, you see a lot of diverse content. And when it comes to TikTok, you've seen brands do different things. You'll see one face to the brand. There's one person doing all of their videos, and people love that because it makes it feel more of like an authentic account. There's one person handling it. They know exactly what they're talking about. There's been accounts that we've worked with where we've worked with influencers and interns and people in-house and done that. Some of it's worked, especially when we try to hop on those trends, as I mentioned earlier. But I think where things are going is really having one person handling it or doing takeovers, which you can work with an influencer, or maybe you have great team members and they all love TikTok, and maybe once a month there's a new person taking over the account and kind of doing it around a series or topic. So the next thing to talk about here is hashtags. So hashtags are very different here, other than like it can be good to use 3 to 5 hashtags. I see different results with every account out there, with not only the accounts I run, my personal account, and other business accounts. So this is definitely something to kind of test and see what works for you. But I would suggest trying videos with no hashtags, try only using the For You page hashtag, and then also trying 3 to 5 hashtags, which should be a mix of relevant hashtags, and also location-based hashtags can work well on TikTok, as well as the For You pages. So if you're familiar with TikTok, the For You page has several hashtags. If you search that into TikTok, you'll see what I'm saying, and those hashtags will come up. Essentially, when you use a For You page hashtag, you want to come up in people's For You pages. As I mentioned, the For You page is where you kind of live, and that's like your explore page on Instagram. So again, something very much to test, but everyone I've seen and worked with has seen very different results from this. And one thing I have also tried this, especially for the accounts that I work with that are business accounts. If you post a video and try to sound and a hashtag group and you got like 10 views, that's not cutting it. I delete it and I repost it with new hashtags and a new sound, and normally I will see higher results. Sometimes it'll flop and still not work well, which is fine. You know, you live and you learn. But I will say that what I've liked about TikTok is like easily changing up the sound and the hashtags to see if you get different results. And as I mentioned when we were talking about Instagram, you can easily repurpose your TikTok content on Reels. I've seen no real like problem in doing that on our pages. I will say you do not want to have the TikTok watermarks on there. When you download a video from your TikTok, you will see that the watermark will come with it. There are apps, I think one's called Save Talk, that allows you to download without. So just something to think about. Again, easy place to repurpose content. I would definitely start with TikTok first and then repurpose that to Reels. Unless you're not trying out TikTok, then just keep it to Reels. Social listening engagement should be dedicated just as much as Instagram. I think, you know, we've gotten really comfortable with Instagram. We've put a lot of time and money and energy into it. So if you're doing TikTok, you want to be doing the same thing. Don't just create content, but go out there and engage and be watching other people's videos and commenting and things like that. And I already mentioned this, but if a post doesn't do well, try reposting with different sounds and hashtags. Again, it can definitely do wonders and kind of change up the results that you get. And as I mentioned earlier, I was working with a client yesterday and we were going over analytics, and one video we posted on TikTok only got like 200 views. We posted the same video on Reels and it got 6,000 views, which, like, again, you can tell that the content is something people want to watch and engage with, but maybe we just didn't use the right hashtags, or that wasn't the best timing. So again, TikTok is one that we're still kind of learning and testing new content on, but I think if you really you know, really have a brainstorm and think about what's the content that I would be interested to see, what's going to resonate with this channel, and just like posting 10, 20 videos to that topic to see how it works with testing different hashtags and things like that is really where you're going to kill it. I did mention with Instagram, IGTV has disappeared, but we did see that Instagram came out with IGTV to compete with what Facebook was doing with Facebook Watch. And then there was like several apps that came out, especially over quarantine, that were like short form TV shows. I think the same thing is kind of applying to TikTok, of creating this series, just like you watch your favorite TV show on Hulu or Netflix, creating that series of content that people will want to come back to watch. And you can even get as in depth of creating your own sound for TikTok, and that being the sound like the jingle of your TV show, that type of thing. So don't be afraid to really dive into it and think of it as your own TV show, just a short form version of it. I believe that's all I have. And the next pages that I have here are related to questions that were already sent in. So I'm going to take a look at that, as well as what was in the Q&A section. And I think there was some of the questions that were sent in that I need a little bit more context to. So if those people are here that submitted the questions, I can definitely get a little more information from you. But the first question that was submitted was, how can I be seen regularly to build more followers? So I think the answer to that is really, you know, you have to have a holistic approach to Instagram and TikTok. You can't just post content and leave. You have to be creating content. You have to be engaging, and you have to build a community. So as I kind of mentioned earlier, you can't be lukewarm with what you post. The brands that do really well are the ones that aren't afraid to be a little, what's the word? Like, not rebellious, but like they're not afraid to call out their competitors or things like that. We don't have to go that extreme, but I think that, you know, really building a community, having people fall in love with you and be advocates for you is going to be the easiest way to build followers. As I mentioned, with brand partners and influencers, that's also a great way, but really being engaging and creating engaging content is going to help you get there. Previously with Instagram, I think that we really focused on likes and comments. Now I would say that the top 2 engagement metrics that you want to track is shares and saves. And because the more people sharing your post, that means the more people are seeing it, because your followers are directly sending that to someone else. So maybe a post got a lot of likes and comments, but no saves and shares. Saves and shares is much more important to be looking at in analytics and determining if this content's working or not, because that's the one people are directly saving to look at later or sharing with somebody else for them to see, and then hopefully they become a follower. The next question is how to stay authentic while growing the following. With all the new updates that happen so often, it seems like we're pushed into creating instead of us being creative. It can be overwhelming. I think this can kind of go back to what I mentioned earlier about quality over quantity. So I think that, you know, you don't want to ghost Instagram. You don't want to post and then leave for 2 weeks and post 5 times and be gone for a month type of thing. If you can figure out a cadence that really fits for you, if maybe you want to approach TikTok, but you can only post once a month, do that. But as long as you're consistent, don't go post 3 or 4 times, again, leave for a bit and then come and post more. You need to stay consistent and make it clear with your audience of like, what can they expect? Especially if we go after Reels and TikTok with this series and say, hey, a new episode is dropping every Monday. And what I love about this is because the videos are so short form and you should be focusing on a series, you can easily take 1 day a month and film all of those videos and have them ready to go to post. So I think that, you know, figuring out how you can create your content in buckets or maybe at one time can be super helpful, and planning that out is going to be the best time saver you have. And then on the everyday basis, having people go and engage in the community, because you still want to show that you're active there. Again, that's just as important as creating the content, but I think it's about kind of finding that balance of what's going to work for you. The next question is, if I was going to commit to one social media platform, which would it be? This was one that I definitely needed more information on what type of business you are and, you know, who your audience is. But essentially, this kind of goes down to, again, who your business is, where you're located, what you're doing, what your budget and bandwidth is to actually create, and what your goals are. So that's going to be very telling of, you know, what's going to actually matter here. Is if your goals are to do this, then that's going to be very different from somebody's goals that are completely different. So if anybody wants to comment in the chat, I'll look at that after I get through these questions. But that's really the first place to start, is understanding, you know, what are your goals and what type of business do you have? And I can make better suggestions there. The next question is, how can I broaden my audience on social media? So I think I've talked about this a little bit, but essentially figuring out, you know, you want your content to go viral, you want more people looking at it and sending it to other people. That's going to be the way for people to make it easy. Your content's going to do the work for you, because people are going to be sending it to other people. Again, other than that, and doing paid ads, which obviously you can target any audience that you want, working with brand partners and influencers to get within their feed, especially within a certain demographic or industry that you want to be featured in, is going to be great. So an easy example of this is maybe your brand is Cliff Bar, and we know that that's really targeted to the outdoor community, snack meal replacement type of thing, but maybe it's also great for moms on the go. So maybe you partner with a mom blogger, or a brand that makes products for babies or something like that. So thinking about, you know, the different audiences you want to be in, and what are other people or partners that you can bring in to help get exposure to that. Is TikTok really necessary for a food business? Again, depends on what food business, but I think everybody has a place to live on TikTok. I think there's success that can be seen here for anyone, and it's definitely worth a try. I don't think there's a brand that actually tried and cared to be successful on social media that wasn't successful. The ones that I've noticed that aren't successful are the ones that don't give it enough time, don't put, you know, enough actual effort into it. And the people behind the brands or companies that honestly just don't believe social works. So they always have this thing in the back of their mind of like, this doesn't work, I don't want to try it too long. What, you just have a negative connotation around it. I will say now, what we consider works or necessary could be very different, because we do know that social media, you can't always track direct sales, especially if you're a local business and we're talking about foot traffic. You can survey people and ask them how they find out about you. But if you're trying to track direct sales of like, I need to know that this many people came in from social media to eat at my restaurant, you know, you're going to have to get creative if you really want to track that. But I think that there's so many different things that social media is doing. But I think at the end of the day, you're looking for brand awareness, and you can kind of say a certain % of people that see it will come in or make that conversion. There's generic numbers you can Google. And then I think it really comes down to, you know, you're building a community. You want to build a community around your brand. And if you see the responses that people are giving to you, you know they're supporting you, you know that they're going to be sending people your way. So it's really about building a community. And I think that's what all local businesses are for and about. You're local for a reason. You didn't choose to go the e-commerce route. You wanted to be in this specific area or location for a reason. And I think you need to build that community just as strong online as you are in your location. And then the last question I had that was already sent in was, TikTok can be great for any and all businesses depending on your business and bandwidth. Oh, sorry, this was actually my note for this. But yeah, it's really great for any business. And again, you just really need to have your strategy figured out. I think that one thing about marketing is people think it's hard. It's actually really not. If you know your audience and know your business, the marketing ideas are going to come. It's not going to be hard for you. Now, maybe how to portray that message or where it should live is the hard part. But if you know your customers, that should really just come naturally to you. You're going to know what to talk about or know what you're passionate about. And there's people like me that, like, even if it's a topic or something I'm not as interested in, if I'm watching or listening to somebody that's very passionate about that topic, I'm in it. Like, I just want you to be passionate about what you do. And like, I thrive off that and I want to support you. So I think it's really about understanding your audience and how you can best put out that content. Cool. So that covers me for the questions submitted. Quite a few comments in here. On the Q&A, is there a platform software you recommend for engagement testing, or should we be using the analytics feature? Sprout is really good with tracking analytics. That's a social media like scheduling tool that you can also utilize. I personally there's all types of tools out there, but I think there is a lot of I just think it's a good idea if you do it yourself. I think that you going in and going into the analytics features on each of the channels and looking at it manually is going to give you so much more insight, and it's just better for you to do it that way than getting a PDF report printed out by like Sprout or any other software. So if you have to report to someone, go the PDF route. But if you actually want to learn and be trying these things, I would do it all manually. We do a lot of this really just with Google Excel sheets. And I think, again, that's just so much more telling for us, because us putting in the time to do the analytics is helping us learn more and look at it more in depth than one of these channels or tools can do. The next question, any tips on finding the sweet spot time of day for posting in our feed? Do we need to be thinking about time of day for reels or stories? This one is always kind of like a debate, because when Instagram first came out, it was about like, hey, you need to be posting on this time because this is when your people are online. We know that everyone's online at all times at this point. Like, I would say if your audience is East Coast and you're posting at 3 a.m., maybe that's not the best time because most people will be asleep. But we do know mostly throughout the day or time that there's always people online. I've also found that posting at super early or late at night has gotten me first in the feed of people the next day. So sometimes my posts have done better. But I think that it's really dependent on how engaging is the content. And I don't think time really matters anymore. With Sprout and other channels, they're like the social scheduling channels, they will give you some information on oh, from your audience, this is the best time to post. You can definitely try that out. Later does the same thing. But I haven't seen too much difference of listening to their insights versus just posting what I want and what feels natural to you. So I don't think it's too big of a deal. Oh, thank you for whoever loves my hair. I just straightened it today. I usually have it curly. So glad it's working. One last question I have here in the chat. Why should businesses be using Instagram and TikTok? Why focus on Instagram and TikTok today over Facebook and Twitter? I think Facebook and Twitter are great channels to be on. I think, again, Instagram and TikTok are the easiest to grow organically and seem to be the best fitting for almost any brand out there. Twitter, I think, definitely has a certain demographic that you're focusing on. And even though it's easier content to produce because it's mainly words, you have to be much more engaged and put much more time organically there to succeed and have a real community there versus creating some really dope videos every once in a while on TikTok and Instagram is going to work better. Now, Facebook, if you already have a great Facebook community, they are engaging with you, definitely somewhere to keep exploring. But if you do not, sorry, I just lost my train of thought because I saw the hair comment again. I'll put a message in here about the hair at the end. But if you have a great Facebook community, but if you don't, you can notice that if you post something, you're getting hardly any impressions, things like that. So really, Facebook is a great place to pay to play, essentially, because it can be really hard to grow organically there. We do know that people are on Facebook, especially the older demographic, but they're not out there searching for your company. They're not doing that. If they want to know what time you're open, they're looking on Google or on your website or on Instagram or on maps, but they are not looking you up on Facebook. They're there to engage with their friends and family. And if they already follow you and engaging with you, again, that's great, continue to post, but you will see that the content you're putting on Facebook is not getting much views. Now, we still do repost a lot of Instagram content to Facebook because I think that can be easy to do. Definitely don't include the hashtags or anything like that, and always include a link because Facebook allows you to do that versus Instagram. So I think that's something to play around there, but definitely more for paid ads. As a solopreneur, how much time should I be putting into social each week? How do I best translate that into value with competing opportunity, cost of my time? That's a great question. I don't know if I can answer this for you because I think it depends on where is your time going as a solopreneur? What type of business do you have? There's businesses that they've only focused on social media and they've grown that, and that's been the biggest success, and they spend 80% of their time on that. But then depending on your business, I think it really depends on, you know, where your time is needed, because if you have other ways of growing your business, I think, like, again, social is great to grow your business in terms of sales and community and that type of thing. But if you have another way that is getting you all your sales and it's less time and effort, focus on that, because at the end of the day, this is just a marketing method. Now, this is one of the top marketing methods for most businesses out there. But for example, for me, we do post on Instagram. We do post on TikTok. I don't get any, I've gotten a few clients from it over the years. That's not where my clients are coming from. I have gotten almost nothing but word of mouth and being like, just the networking that I've done. And that sustained us for the last 6 years, which is amazing. We've not done any advertising, and I'm a social media agency, but that's just not where my time is best spent. So we don't do that for ourselves. We do and post it, and our social media is mainly for recruiting for new employees, which has been a great, literally the main way we've gotten employees, from people finding us on Instagram or TikTok. And then it's been great to keep up to date with the clients that we do have, or people that haven't worked with us yet and they keep up with us that way. So that's more of us maintaining our audience and keeping them engaged. But the clients that are ready to work with us, they've most likely heard of us from another way. Maybe they have been following us on social media for years, or just really word of mouth from other clients. So I think it really depends on, you know, what you're doing. And then the last question here is, using generic hashtags that have millions of posts attached to it is useful, or should we be mainly focusing on smaller niche hashtags? I think definitely the smaller niche hashtags. I think there's a good mix of using a little bit of all of them, like some niche, some like localized to your community, and then maybe some generic. Now, when I say generic, don't do hashtag food, hashtag fashion, the ones with that many. I think this has changed a lot, but the rule of thumb used to be no more than 500,000 posts to a hashtag. You can use it, but still don't want to use too many of those, because again, your stuff's going to get lost. I think at this point, maybe like 250,000 might be our max, because again, Instagram has been out for way too long to be using. But if you're thinking about TikTok, using the For You page is very different of using a hashtag versus Instagram. So hashtags and their posting amounts on TikTok, I don't think it matters. Instagram, I think it does matter a little bit more. That is all the questions I have, and I think we have 6 minutes left.
You're right on time. And any kind of final thoughts before we close it out?
I think we covered, hopefully I didn't overwhelm anybody, but I think we covered a lot today. You know, we can definitely send everybody my email if you have any follow-up questions or have more specific questions to the type of business you have and what you should be doing. But I will say, especially the question about the solopreneur thing, I think that I've seen memes about this, and I agree. I've seen where they say, you know, social media shouldn't be run by an intern, or that shouldn't be the full, you know, thing to do. But I think if you are strapped for time and there is a great college student that understands TikTok and can make things happen for you, why not explore that? So I think about, you know, you really owning it as your business and your expertise, but working with people that might know the more intricate details of social is a great way to go. If you can hire someone internally or hire an agency, that's great. But I think, you know, you don't want to lose money here, but I think it's definitely about like trying and exploring things.
Okay. Well, you've been an absolute pleasure to have. I really appreciate how tactical you are with your recommendations. So excited to send that PowerPoint presentation out. I hope that's useful to everyone. And like she said, if you've got follow-up questions, definitely send them our way and we'll send them along. But that's all the time we have today. Thank you all so much for joining, and we will be sending out the recording and details soon. See ya.
Thank you.